How cool is that? It's a big boar. Ah. 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 Meh. Wouldn't that be a great backdrop to share a few emails? Pretty cool to finally go out of my way to go, hopefully, film a grizzly bear and show you guys one. Finally happened. All right, almost the end of another day. Horse decided to kick down the fence last night. Woke to the neighbor coming down the driveway, freaking out because the horses were in her property, I think terrorizing her llamas. So I do some unexpected fencing, and then what else? All sorts of shit. But anyway, thank God for all the people out there that are following this channel. I'll tell you what, after yesterday's request that everybody look into things for themselves, look into information for themselves, thankfully, thank God, there's so many people that follow this channel who are absolutely intelligent, diligent, and look into their own information on their own. It's such a relief. It's such a relief to know how many of you out there are independent, thinking, intelligent people. So relieving. So thankful for every single person out there that follows this channel and contributes. I'll tell you what. Thank God for all of you. That's all I can say. It sure gives somebody hope, I'll tell you what. Anyway, one thing I was going to offer up to everybody. There's some people that may possibly need a suggestion that works for, that works for me and others. I was talking about it, today, was the amount of negative that's offered up daily to us right now is a little overwhelming. It has been for a couple years now, right? Suicides have gone off the chart. Depression's gone off the chart. Child suicides have risen something like 407%. There's a lot of dismal numbers out there. So, what I would possibly offer up to some of you who may be challenged in that department where you're having a tough time not focusing on the dark and the dread is try to, if you can, try to realize that there is 2 plates in front of you all day long. There's 2 plates that you can grab a snack from all day long. You can either take a snack from the good positive plate, or you continue to grab those snacks off the dark, miserable, depressing plate, the angry plate. Because that's really is what it comes down to. We have a choice. And nobody can actually force us to be miserable. They can try like hell, and they can win a lot of the time. A lot of people, easily proven, but you can stay on top of yourself and realize that you're going down that dark misery ride, and you keep feeding off the miserable plate in front of you, and then you got to just catch yourself and stop yourself and go snack on the positive plate for a few meals. Okay, just be aware of that. All right, you guys, I'm just trying to remind people that you do not have to continually feed off of the miserable plate offered up in front of you nonstop. That plate is in front of our faces every day, all day right now. But you can refuse to take a snack off of it and look over at that other plate that's right there in front of your face too, and keep trying to feed on some positive. All right? It's a simple choice. And then if you insist on going over the dark plate, well, just make sure that you go there and you govern yourself accordingly. and you try not to sustain yourself off of it. Just go over there and have a little snoop around, see what's going on, but don't sustain yourself from that miserable plate. All right? All right, here we go. Let's get right into hearing some voices, and that's why we're here, is to hear the people. All right? That's the most important thing we can do today, is to listen to the people. Apologetics. Hi, Steve Mark here. I watch your videos since before Sasquatch was ever mentioned on your channel. I'm a big fan. Although I don't hunt anymore, I grew up hunting and fishing in the great state of Kansas. I've been living in Northern California for over 40 years and have had numerous encounters with the Sabe. You've even read at least 2 of my stories on this channel. Like you, I'm pissed off that we've been lied to our whole lives about the reality of where we live, which brings me to my point. Almost 6 years ago, I started hearing about people saying our world is flat. Rather than laugh it off, but certainly not believing it, my thought was, why the hell would they believe that? I started looking into it, thanks to a slew of videos by Eric Dubé. He mentioned books that had been written on the topic over 100 years ago, so I bought them. They're still in print and available. I started doing my own research, running the numbers, looking for proof one way or the other. We've been told our world spins at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. When I realized that's 3 times faster than the top fuel dragster funny car and equals 1,466 feet per second, almost 5 football fields. I made my own decision on the matter. At first I was stoked and started telling all my friends. Many of them promptly stopped talking to me. Others said, much like yourself, that they just don't care, that it doesn't matter at all. My problem with that reaction, especially coming from people who hate lies and liars, is that the very same crew of Luciferian scumbags that lie about the Sabe and literally everything else are also lying about the very nature of our world. Having said all that, I want to offer you something of an apology from the attitude and behavior of some of my flat earth brethren. That overzealous, abrasive approach does more harm than good. I love the fact that you're not hostile towards those viewers of yours who offer biblical perspectives on the Bigfoot topic. So I'd like to state that the Bible also offers no other world view than that of a flat, motionless earth. Check out the first few chapters of Genesis or the book of Enoch and you'll see there's no motion or curvature mentioned. In fact, when you get curious enough, I challenge you to prove to yourself whether there's any motion whatsoever to the ground we tread on, earthquakes notwithstanding, or indeed any curvature anywhere. Truth really does matter, and feel truth will stand up close to scrutiny when lies crumble and evaporate. Thanks for your courage and tenacity. No fear. All right, man. Yeah, I don't really... Mark, thanks for the email, first off. Appreciate it. So I just do not want to encourage a debate on whether the Earth's flat or not here on my channel, okay? I don't have time for it. I'm absolutely up to the nuts full of trying to create a safe place for the people who have had experiences with these hairy people. They didn't ask for it, and that's one of my main goals of this channel is to offer up a safe place for them to come here and share their experiences, and for the rest of us to try to put the knowledge that's acquired through these experiences together to possibly figure out our own personal puzzles when it comes to this ride. Now, so for me, like I said before, my stance on the topic of whatever shape the planet is, whatever shape it is for me, is working for me. I'm loving this lifetime. I love the mountains. I love the rivers. I love the oceans. I love I love everything about it. So, if it's flat, cool. If it's round, cool. Do you see where I'm coming from? Right now, for me, my time is getting gobbled up trying to see through the bullshit, and I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's got to start off with the shape of the earth. That's the #1 bullshit line right there. I'm sure it is. There's nothing but bullshit getting thrown in our faces every single day. But right now, the fact of whether or not the earth is flat or curved doesn't truly affect whether or not somebody may go missing or may suffer PTSD today or this week coming up. And the shape of the earth right now does not affect the lying sons of bitches who are in control right now, flooding us with misery every single day. So, if I had to choose my battles personally right now, I'm going to maintain creating a safe place for as many people as I can to come here and share their experiences they didn't ask for. And also, when I can, I'm going to try to expose the lying, filthy, dirty, sleazy pricks who are trying to control our narratives via government or other major groups of people. I'm starting to lose my train of thought here. You see what I mean? So that's where my energy is dedicated right now. So when somebody comes to me personally and says, hey, you stupid asshole, the earth's flat. I can't believe you call it a globe. I go like this. What? Okay, whatever. It's flat as a globe. I don't give a shit. For me personally, okay? I just don't. I don't. And that's where I can take my own advice. I can take it from it, what I need, what I can, if I want something, or I can leave it. It's up to me. So it's my ride. It just doesn't interest me enough to pursue it right now. I've got too many other things that have a very, very massive impact on my fellow human beings today when they go into the woods and try to enjoy the same things that I'm passionate about. And I also have a big issue with a lot of the people who are controlling good, hard, working, honest people today. That's what I'm about right now, okay? So all you guys out there that really need to scream out the earth's flat, you've been heard. Okay, you've been heard. There's plenty of channels to support that. If you want to start your own channel and start a flat earth only topic channel, the door is wide open. Give her. Find your people. Circle them up and get them crowded in there, and you guys can figure out the shape of the earth together and fill in the missing pieces to your puzzle that way. Okay, you guys? There we go. I hope I made some sense. I'm sure I'm going to get hate mail just for saying that. Sure, you guys, I get hate mail for anything. I'll get hate mail just for putting you guys in the shop. I'll get hate mail for taking the antlers off of the game animals that I eat and saving them and putting them on the wall. I'll get hate mail for wearing my hat the wrong way. I'll get hate mail for there being a frickin' echo in here. I can't keep everybody happy, but what I can do is offer up a safe place. Now, where was I? Marking it as red. Incredible, bizarre, round table information. All right, here we go. Hi, Steve. I don't know if this is forbidden knowledge, but here it is. Excuse me. Here's some wild info that was never discussed on your or anyone else's channels, for all I know. And if anyone else knows anything about this subject, maybe they could pass it on. I was recently talking to a friend who is a Native American shaman who told me some unbelievable information. He informed me what he learned from his father, who learned from his grandfather, and all the way through their history. Anyway, I don't remember how we got on the subject, but it's about trees. Yes, I said trees. If you want to know certain things about the woods, such as where to find certain plants or animals located nearby, he also explained how one tree could know anything about what's in its forest. The branches and roots touch each other like a grid. So, how or what you do is find very old live trees. Place your hand on it, clear your mind, and when you feel a pressure at the base of your skull, you'll find you are able to communicate with the tree. You'll also find out if you're telepathic. They are a live entity. I think it's pretty wild, but you never know. I haven't tried this yet, but would like to try it. Problem is, I can't walk because my back got screwed up in an accident. I can only get where my wheelchair can go. One other thing he told me was when tribes used to set up their camps, it was never in the woods, but in the treeless fields. On the plains, they didn't have a choice. It was close, but never in the woods. Anyway, I thought this was interesting info. Have a great day. Stay safe, Chris. All right, Chris. Yep, I don't think I've ever heard that ever. One thing I have heard though, and they've proven, is they hooked up some kind of electric current meters to trees. In a stand of timber, they fired up a chainsaw and went to cutting down one of the trees, and the electricity was on fire amongst the other trees, almost like they were screaming, "Oh my God." And that's a fact. Kind of bizarre, isn't it? But I don't know. It's a new one to me, man. Thanks for sending that in. And when you talk about the natives not living in the trees, well, maybe in the plains natives, but the fact of the matter is in the coastal natives here, they made a lot of settlements in the big timber here. Big time. Big trees. All right, what do we got? All right, listen to this one. Mark, this is red. upstate New York, light brown. Hey Steve, I grew up in the foothills of the Catskills and 1.5 hours south of the Adirondacks. How's that? Getting better, you guys? I'm 45 now. I've hunted, fished, and trapped most of my life except for my time in the military, 7 years-ish. As a kid, we always hunted deer and turkeys on the same 200 or so acres. I'm well versed in the sounds of nature. Coyotes, bears, and big cats all have a distinct sound. Likewise, humans can mimic animals, but generally, we all can decipher the bullshit. Many times as an adult, I hunted by myself, all over the surrounding counties. Private and state land covering thousands of acres. I never felt anything. About 5 years ago, hunting on the hill for deer, just like all those other years, I was sitting against a tree in the swamp area that I had shot a big buck a few years prior. A flock of turkeys had moved through. So I was just sitting quiet, hoping the deer would be through in a short order. Then, without a feeling, a notice, or a twig snap, it screamed at me. 3 loud screams, shrill, high-pitched screams that were so loud, I found myself in the prone position. My 7mm mag shouldered, safety off, facing behind the tree I was leaning against. I moved so fast that I was in that position before the end of the 3rd scream, adrenaline pumping, hair on end. It is very dense behind that part of the swamp, hence the reason I was facing the other way. Then it knocked 3 times. There are tops all over from logging in the past. I can only describe it as smacking a tree against another tree. I never saw anything. I slowly got to my feet and tried to stalk it. I didn't want to hurt it. I wanted to see it, but was unsuccessful. The rest of the day I stayed in the area and never heard anything. I took a couple days off and headed back up on the hill. I was by myself and planned on staying low near the logging road at the bottom. It was early afternoon and I was just taking my time through a stand of hemlocks. I saw movement up the hill. As I was waiting for a glimpse of whatever it was that moved, I saw a light brown / amber colored head with a tan face peek at me on an angle from behind a tree. The face was outlined by the hair, human-like features. I quickly moved towards it for a better look. It was the better part of 75 yards away. I was unsuccessful, go figure. Since then, every time I hunt there, they knock all around me, no screaming, no matter what part of the hill I hunt. Throughout the day, they knock and answer each other. I've had them knocking around me in the middle of the day while I was sitting in my stand. I could never see them. I never felt dread or a need to leave. My second screaming experience took place this last spring. My wife and I live in a swampy area in North Carolina. The swamp is very wet. I can't walk through it without sinking. I only made it 20 feet from our lawn. While fishing on the river at the end of the little swamp, I heard a tree snap, not a twig or a branch. I know you know what I mean. I saw trees moving, but that was it. Then, one night, we were walking the dogs and I heard what I would explain as a deer crashing through the woods less than 20 feet from me. Then, 30 seconds later, the screaming started. It screamed repeatedly for about 4 or 5 minutes. I went in the house and grabbed my high-powered light and .45. I went out to try and see it. The hair on my body was on end. It just kept screaming. Mind you, our house is only 70 feet from the swamp and we have close neighbors. It was about 10 o'clock at night. I never saw it. Once the screaming stopped, I went inside and my wife asked, "What the hell is that?" I asked her if she believed in Sasquatch. I told her my story about being screamed at back home. I had never told anyone. She asked me a ton of questions and we went to bed. Next morning we got up for work at 5 a.m. We took the dogs out like we always do. She came in after me and said, "It's doing it again." I grabbed my light and .45. When I got outside, it was screaming repeatedly. I got to the edge of the swamp, started shining my light. The tone changed slightly. Then I coughed. The tone changed slightly, then coughed like clearing his throat. Very human-like. It screamed a few more minutes and then stopped. That was 8 months ago. We haven't heard anything since. I've felt uneasy a few times, but nothing else. From that point on, I always take my phone with me. If it happens again, I want to record it. Thank you for providing a place for us to share. I hope we all get to make sense of this one day. Fair winds and following seas. Matt. Yeah, no shit, Matt. Me too. I hope we get to make sense of this and every single thing else before this rides up, right? I was saying that to Sarah the other night, trying to figure out why. But I don't know why. I can't stop myself. I can't stop myself from trying to figure out why. I want to know why. I want to know what and why. And I want to know before it's over. You know what I mean? I want to hopefully try to possibly make a big, huge difference. If I can. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, man? Gotta keep digging. Everybody keep digging. Keep digging and keep sharing and quit being afraid of anything. That's the key. That is the key. All right, what do we got here? Mark this as red. All right. Man, I keep getting interruptions. It's a tough day to read today. Let's see if I can get this one done. I don't even know where I left off a second ago. Before I start, Steve, you can use my name or anything else I say in this email. My name is Kevin Miller, an old school redneck from Hamilton, Ohio, and I don't give two shits on a cracker what anyone thinks about me. If I did care, I wouldn't be writing this email, right? Right. As you say, they can ram it up their ass elbow deep. It was mid-1990s, my old man was still alive. We hunted at Tar Hollow State Park, just east of Chillicothe, Ohio, along with my uncle and cousin. It was gun season opening day. My dad and myself started into the woods an hour before daybreak. We got to the split in the path where we went separate ways. As soon as I started walking across the top of the ridge I always hunted, I felt scared to death and didn't know why. Now, Steve, this is a very, very scary feeling to have, even when carrying a gun. Got to the woodpile I was hunting from, which was over 6 to 7 feet tall and 15 feet long. As soon as I sat down on the edge of the woodpile, I smelled a god-awful smell. I thought to myself, what in the hell is that smell? A few minutes had went by and I could literally feel whatever it was breathing on me. I'm almost in tears writing this. I couldn't see 3 feet in front of me and was just so scared to a point I couldn't move. I heard a grunt mixed with a sigh, like this thing was pissed I wouldn't leave. Right after that, a few logs went rolling off the pile and stomped off into the blackness. Just before daylight, I heard a dog barking, and in an instant, it went dead silent. At daybreak, I got the hell up and started down trail and over towards my old man. As I was scaling a very steep path, I noticed something hanging from the tree to over the top of the path. As I got closer, it was very clear what it was. The dog I heard barking before daylight, and it was hanging 10 to 12 feet over the path. I took off running up towards my old man. When I got to him, he knew something was wrong, but I couldn't tell him at the moment. Dad passed away in 2005, and I've not hunted since then. I wish I could because I do miss it. It would mean the world to me if you would give just a moment of silence for the best shot I've ever seen in my life to this day. Stay strong, live strong, and treat every day as your last. Everyone says you only live once, and I say you only die once, and you should live every day. Thanks, Steve, for doing what you do, and I love that badass Camaro. Woo, doggy. Take care, Kevin Miller. Kevin, it absolutely kills me your dad passed away, and you haven't hunted since. That's unfortunate, man. But let's all give a warm thought out there for your father, and at least be thankful that he showed you the outdoors, right? I'll bet you right now he wishes you were out there still enjoying the outdoors. I'd put big money on that bet. Try to get back out there, man. You know, just take baby steps. I've told people this in the past. You get your gear together, get your gun together, get your tags together, get your lunch together, drive out there, and just hang outside your pickup truck and feel it. Feel what it feels like. You'll know. You will know. Test the air. Go for short walks. Take baby steps, and you'll be all right. Just go with your guts. Go with your instinct, and say out loud, just leave me alone. I want to be left alone. All right? Give it a try, man. Don't give up, never quit, ever. Never quit at living, you guys. Never. All right, what do we got? One more here. I'm gonna mark this as red. I'm gonna get in, and tomorrow I'm gonna try to get away and go to the middle of nowhere and see what I can see, see what I can find, and see what I can share from there. See what I can show you all. A requested response from October 2nd podcast. Excuse me. Hi Steve, I wish to remain anonymous because of my former occupation, which spanned 45 years in law enforcement. You have mentioned that you have had questions regarding law enforcement. Feel free to contact me and I'll be happy to try to answer them. I think I've read this before. Maybe you've read from me before, but thank you for that. I've been watching Howtohunt for 2 years. I started watching hunting podcasts, and when you got into the subject of Sasquatch, I don't think I've missed one of your podcasts. Like you, I've been trying to learn more about the subject, but until now, there's been no honest answers. R.E., your podcast on October 2nd, 2021, a woman contacted you regarding an incident which happened in upstate New York in '61, which has troubled her to this day. She requested if anyone else had a similar encounter to respond. It so happens I had a similar encounter in '61 in upstate New York. I hope my information is helpful to her and others. All right, here we go. I grew up on what was the family farm, which had a hay field that started behind our house. It had a slope which ended 200 plus yards at the creek. The other side of the creek had a steep clay bank, then woods, which went on for about 10 miles, ending at the Mohawk River. It was the winter of '61. I was 10 years old. A layer of ice would form on top of hard-packed snow, allowing us kids to sled down the sloping field past an apple orchard, ending at the creek. One early evening, I went out to sled by myself. I was already dark, but there was good moonlight. I made my first run down the field. As I approached the creek, I had that feeling of dread, fear / being watched. Something was putting a message in my head that I was to leave now. I responded by telling whatever this was that it would have to leave, and this is my home. I towed my sled back up to the house and made a second run. As I got to the creek a second time, I had a much stronger feeling of dread and fear, telling me to leave. I gave this thing the same response and proceeded back to the house. Holy shit. As I reached the house, my father was outside. He was hooking up floodlights to light up the field for me. The lights were facing the creek. When he turned them on, we heard the most frightening screams / howls from the wooded area of the creek. This thing screamed 4 times, directed right at us. I knew right then what gave me the message to leave. With no prior knowledge of what a Sasquatch was, right at that moment, I had a very good picture in my mind of what it was. My father turned off the lights and said it was time to go in the house. By then I was already inside. My father got his shotgun out and put it by the door. I asked him what that was. He told me he did not know, and like nothing he had ever heard growing up on the farm. I believe my father knew more than what he had told me. When I questioned him again, he said, "If you leave them alone, they will leave you alone." He knew. I never let that incident keep me out of the woods. I continued to play, hunt, and fish, but from then on, I kept a watchful eye on my surroundings. To this day, I have wanted to learn more about these beings, trying to finish putting this puzzle together. Also, I'd like to know if anyone else had any sightings or encounters in the '60s in upstate New York. I hope my information has been helpful. Steve, keep up the good work. We all appreciate what you're doing, and thank you. All right, man, thank you. Make sure you email back some more, all right, with whatever you've learned and whatever you might have that might help the people, all right, man? Because I have a feeling you might have a bunch more sitting there on your table beside your puzzle, your stack of pieces, right? That's funny. I remember years ago, I knew an elderly guy who basically grew up on the coast, the west coast of Vancouver Island, and spent years running around the mountains hunting and fishing on Vancouver Island. And I remember specifically asking him if he had ever seen a Sasquatch or if he had known anything about them. And he He did not say that he did believe them, and he did not offer up any knowledge on them at all. Nothing. Just plain stupid. Then I remember years later, and for some weird reason, I remember it. I remember everything. I remember sentences, words, everything said forever ago. It's kind of weird, and it also kind of has created some discomfort for me as well, because I can unfortunately catch people bullshitting me by accident because I remember what they say to me. But I remember his reaction. Getting back to my point I'm trying to make is, I remember that man specifically not showing any emotion or interest when I brought up the topic, nothing whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure he did also add in that I think he laughed at the topic, whatever, shrugged it off. Years later, same man. And I forget how it came up, but all I remember was his reaction, because I said, I wonder what the Sasquatch do when they see you hunting. And I remember he right away said, I don't think they do too much. I think they just stay out of sight. I think they watch you. Right? And I remember he said that. But there's a bunch of other people talking at the time, which I don't even remember who it was, but I do remember how he went from the first time the topic came up, he went flatline, no interest, shrugged it off, laughed. A few years later, topic came up again, and he offered up with a straight look on his face. It's okay, they just watch you. So go figure. I'm saying I'm adding that in is, how many of our senior members, whether related to us or not, know more than they are willing to share? And I believe it is a lot. I believe the number is right up there. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got. I beat. Remember to stay positive out there, you guys, all right? Stay positive. When you catch yourself going down that negative path and eating too many snacks off the negative plate that's in front of you all the time, make sure you realize that the positive plate's right there with a bunch of snacks on it too, and make sure you go over there and grab a few handfuls of positive snacks to chew on. All right? It's going to help you out. Don't forget about it. It's a choice. Okay? And keep digging. Keep digging. Keep digging. I gotta go. I'll be back shortly.